How's everybody doing this morning? Make sure you go ahead and send out. There's Nikki in the morning. Nikki in the morning. Everybody's got the pink robes on. Let's see here. Yay. Let me make sure this is muted over here. And we're muted. And we're going to go live recording here. Hey, good morning, Misfits. It is January 9th, 18th, 2020. I'm still not quite used to that yet. It is the weekend edition, Dun, dun, dun. We have conversations every day with amazing souls just like you. And in these souls, the concept of this call, the reason for this call was because December 18th, 2018, I got a wild hair and I said, enough is enough. I keep complaining about the market, the industry, and you can't complain unless you're willing to do something. So I decided to do something. I decided to step up, stand out, and be outstanding. And we are now on episode 330 on the weekend edition. How's everybody doing this morning? You know what the funniest thing is the idea of consistency, the idea of simplicity. Most people make it to this call 5 days, 6 days, and then they take a break. And that's okay, whether it's me or somebody else. It's so interesting to hear them when somebody winds up paying you for something and they say, you know what, now I'm going to really do it. Okay, that's awesome. So here's what we want to do today is I'm going to have you ask yourself some questions. These questions that I'm going to ask are ones I use with my personal team, the people that I've built large organizations with, the people that have been with me for the last 20 plus years, the people who circle in my life at a newer level, at a higher level. And the funny thing is these questions get asked not in an interrogation style. These get asked over a lifetime of awareness and a lifetime of hanging around each other. It'd be good if you paid attention to the answers when you ask these to folks around you. So with that being said, again, good morning, everybody. Hope everybody sent out their messages of joy, their 3 messages of gratitude. So here's my question to you. Did you send out your messages yet? I'm curious if you've sent any messages out during this time. I know a couple of people, Michael said the other day, he sent them out and he got some messages back and it just changed his day. Have any of you gotten some questions, some responses back that were quite surprising, quite enthusiastically, joyfully received by you, that you're like, oh my gosh, I had no idea? Just curious. If you've had some responses that were pretty amazing, either share what the response was, if it really surprised you, if it excited you, if it motivated you, or if you've just gotten some neat responses back, just type a Y in the chat. So where am I going here? Cool. So Allie, what you're going to do is you're going to send these messages out to people that inspire you, people that are important in your life, people that maybe they take you for granted. Maybe you might, on the slight chance, take them for granted. There's so much in your life. You count on them. You also depend on them. Just send them a note of love. That could be to a parent, to a brother, a sister, to a niece, an uncle, a cousin, a friend, a business partner, somebody you recently met. And now it's not really a question. It's just, hey, listen, I was thinking of you today. You want to send out a message of gratitude. Hey, listen, I was thinking of you today, and I appreciate you. You are an amazing soul. Or, yeah. So that's the conversation at that point. So the desire behind sending these out is to make space for us, to just give, right? A couple of the questions you're going to see in this, I don't know how many slides there are here, 30 slides or so, 28 slides. And this isn't even a quarter of the questions that come out of my questions, the last frontier training that I do. So let's get started here. Y'all ready for some questions? Put this in present mode. Go over here to share. And again, this is going live stream to YouTube, so the recording will be there. Questions, desktop. What does this say? Okay, we'll go there, share. So can you all see that? Okay, thanks, Rhonda. Questions, how many do you have? Now, we could do a whole training just on this slide. Now, I know some of you go, what? Could you ask that second question two different ways? You follow me? Questions, how many do you have? Think about this. We're in the business of building people. Our number one product is the solution we provide. And if we can provide a solution that nobody else can, we wind up winning. So think about this. If you just ask that question, how many do you have? What does that mean? What if you were to ask that to a prospect? How many questions do you have? I'm not saying you do that, but that's one way to say the word, right? That's one way to say that phrase. Then the question is, another way to say it is, how many do you have? How many questions do you have? How many questions do you have to pull out the best answers in them? How many questions do you have in your bucket to be of value to them? Does that make sense? Do you see the difference? Whether we're constantly asking them, so why do they have so many questions? Well, how many questions do you have to answer their question? Yeah, I promise you, I use that phrase my mentor uses on me all the time with my students. I promise you, when we have a conversation, one of us will always be happy. Sometimes both of us. So here we go. Let's dive in. So these are kind of inspirational questions to see what their inspiration level is, to get their thermometer level, to see where they're at. So what does inspiration look like to you? Have you ever answered that question? What does it look like to you? Is it a sunrise? Is it an ant pulling a leaf that's 3 times its size, 5 times its size? Does that inspire you to show you what's possible? I grew up on a farm. I watched life and death all the time. I watched mothered cows. I watched cows become sad when their calf passed away, nudging it, thinking there's still life in it. Those are moments that are burned into my memory of just moments in time. So my question is what inspires you? What gives you inspiration? How could seeing a calf pass away do that? Because then the question is could I have done something else to help? And you know what? There probably were a few more things I could have done. And I did them. I made sure the next cows, when they were calving, had those things I believed would help. Got to remember, I'm a farm boy from way back when. So what does inspiration look like to you? How long do you think, let me ask you this, just in the chat, how long do you think you could spend answering that question? How long do you think you could spend answering that question? Yeah, forever, a week. Because here's what happens. Once you reach that peak, it was funny in the devotional today, Rhonda and I were kidding, we're giggling this morning. In the snow-capped peaks and the valleys, we're always looking for a shortcut. Don't take the shortcut. You could do this forever and ever and ever, in every breath, right? But here's the thing. Guess what happens? If in every breath you look for what inspires you, guess what you're only going to see? Isn't that something? Put that in your pipe and smoke it. If all you're looking for is inspiration and seeing how you could advance, how many of you are here to advance? I think I know the answer to that. If you're here to advance, then can't you advance your inspiration? What if you could learn to love a little bit deeper, love a little bit more? What would life turn into? How many of you have ever watched your children do something, and it's hard to watch somebody else's child and do this, but how many of you have ever watched your children or children that are closely related to you and you just fell absolutely more in love with them. How is that even possible? You didn't think there was a way for you to love anymore, for you to breathe any more life into them, for them to breathe any more life into you. Isn't that inspiration? What if, listen carefully, you sat across the table from a prospect and you were that one filled with love, filled with joy. You get to have a conversation with somebody. You get to be a source for them. Some of you are wildly, amazingly energetic, and the person sitting across from you can't interpret your wild and amazing energy. Some of you have heard me tell this story before. Inspiration to me is it's the walk of a woman. It's a guy holding his kid's hand. It's this somebody who holds a door open for somebody. It doesn't matter who, young, old. But here's the funny thing. The story I tell about being in Logan Airport in Boston with my buddy from Australia, walking up to the most beautifully gorgeous women in the airport and saying, listen, just thank you for being so amazing. You probably already know this. In your beauty, you are wildly intimidating. And I just wanted you to know that you're absolutely amazing. Your soul just feels so wonderful. And I'm sorry that people kind of avoid you only because of how beautiful you are, and you're just not sure what to do with that. And they look, and their wall goes up, and is instantly disappears. They go, how do you know that? Thousands and thousands of conversations later. So what does inspiration look like to you? Inspiration looks like to me is giving somebody the chance to be seen. Giving somebody the chance to be seen. That's what inspires me. I'm already holding the spotlight. Do you realize every one of you is holding the spotlight on humanity? Nobody gets an Academy, maybe they do, but nobody gets, at least I've not seen it, nobody gets an Academy Award for holding the spotlight. Lighting director, yeah, I understand that. But not the guy holding the spotlight. Here's what's the difference. You get an award for holding the spotlight, because in this profession, in this world, in this moment, in MLM, me loving more, this just came to me lighting more souls up. MLM, me lighting more, putting the light on more souls. Somebody's going to eventually go, who's shining that spotlight on me? And you get to lean around that spotlight and go, I love you. What do you think others feel when they are inspired? I'm telling you, if you sit with these questions for just a little bit, I'm blessed that I have a handful of people that I almost command and demand they revolve in my world, because I need them. I need their energy. I need their perspective. I want to see what inspires them today. I want to see how the world is changing, adapting and adopting. What do you think others feel when they are inspired? Have you ever asked your team these questions? Or did you ask them, have you prospected your 10 today? How about this? What do others sound like when they're inspired? What do others sound like when they're inspired? Now listen, I'm not talking about, watch this. Hey, Gisela, good morning. Y'all look at that screen. Y'all look at that picture of her. Now I need you to hear this. What does she sound like in that picture? Y'all get me? What does she sound like? Watch Ralph. Ralph's up there. He's got that radio voice. Good morning, everybody. And when they sit there and they speak in this voice, what do they sound like to you without making a noise? How many of you are absolutely deafened by the glory of your kids when they're sleeping? Y'all get that? Y'all get that? There's Trey in the golf cart. I was wondering what kind of a where is that? Then I see the handle there on the side. That's a golf cart roof. Y'all get this? What do they sound like when you can't hear a word out of their mouth? Isn't it amazing? What inspires you in this moment where you're at? Look around your room. What inspires you? And if you happen to glance and see yourself in a mirror, that would be a good thing too. What inspires you right now? What do you feel? What do you see? What do you hear? What are you breathing in? Are you breathing in faith and courage and exhaling fear and doubt? How many of you have somebody you absolutely admire? If you could sit down with them for a day, living or gone on to the other side, somebody from history. I would love to sit with Epictetus and Socrates and Plato, right? They would consider, if I could go back in time and with what I know, they would consider us almost godlike. You know what? But I know this also, that the sun that they sat underneath and argued and conversed on the porches of Greece and Rome is the same sun I sit under. There's a book called The Last Breath of Caesar. How many of us have all breathed in part of the last breath of Caesar? How many of us have breathed in the last breath of Einstein, of Epictetus, of Mother Teresa? Does that make sense? What do others? That's the last question prior to this one. I just see that in the chat. What inspires you? What does the next level of inspiration feel like to you? Next level. Imagine you're at it right now. What does the next level look like? What does the next feeling look like? Epictetus is one name, one of the Stoics of our time. But if you type in Stoicism or Stoic in Google, they'll show up. A book one of my students, all of my students are required to read is The Manual by Epictetus. The Manual. What does the next level feel like to you? What does the next level feel like to you? What would change? Think about where you're at right now. On a scale of 1 to 10, don't need to answer this. On a scale of 1 to 10, where are you? On a scale of 1 to 10. And then what if the 10 became the new 2? Ooh. Do you have the capacity to do such? Do you have the capability to do such? And the answer to that is absolutely yes, because right now, your level of happiness right now, the way you feel right now, is so much different than the way you felt when you were 2. But here's the question. Sadhguru, a mystic from India, Sadhguru says, right now, the way you feel right now, to when you were 5, when were you happier? Were you happier at 5 or happier at now? How come because you know more now, you're not happier? You knew less then. You were an earthworm. You were a slave then. Your parents told you what to eat, when to eat, how to eat. You should eat all of it. You should wear this. You should get up. You should go to sleep. You were by definition a slave. You had no freedom, yet you were more happy. How is that possible? Because you were in the moment. Your joy came from a stick. Your joy came from a leaf. Your joy came from a box of broken crayons. Your joy came from your own creativity. What would the next level of creativity look like in your life? What would the next level of creativity feel like in your life? Okay, Brittany, go ahead. Ask your question. Let me see here. I'm not sure how to get to you.
Okay, no, thank you so much for the opportunity. I do have to go, but I really, really want to know this. So, what I would like to know is what is one of the best ways to inspire someone that lacks inspiration with even if you're doing it, if you're leading by example, like what are some small subtle ways that you can consistently inspire them?
Thank them.
Wait,
Thank
huh?
thank them for being them.
Oh, okay.
You know why they're not inspired? Their fire's not burning. You know why their fire's not burning? Because they feel everybody throws water on their fire. Asking them more questions. If somebody's, how many of you have ever heard this when you're upset? You need to just calm down. And how'd that work out for you? Don't tell me to calm down. I'm already calm. Hey, listen, thank you for being on this planet. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being in my world. I don't know if anybody's told you thank you today, but thank you. And watch what happens. Now they may go, well, yeah, no, they thank you. They don't even know what to do with that. But what if you were the one sharing one of your embers, sharing one of your coals, sharing one of your inspirational moments? What
So
if
which
you? What,
leads me, I'm sorry.
go ahead. Go ahead.
That leads me to another question, right?
It
So
usually
I
does.
it's like, so how do you have this burning desire, this burning inspiration within you, and you share with others, and you utilize your own fire to light their flame without burning yourself out?
How do I do that, or how does anybody do that?
I don't know. I guess how would you do it? Because however you do it, I'm gonna do it because
So here's how I
it
do it.
works.
Here's how I do it. Very well. Why do you ask? I've made it a decision. I've made it a choice to have an unending flame. Now, does sometimes my flame go out? Yeah, there's a strong wind that comes by. Those are called challenges. Those are called doubts. But that's when I have to grab onto something. I grab onto my faith. I grab onto my friends. Oh my gosh, the last couple of months, there's no way I'd make it through without my friends. So I know that there's an unending flame of joy and happiness inside of me. Sometimes my brain goes, ha ha, I'm going to crush you like a bug. And my heart goes, your wish is my command. And then my heart says, I'll do whatever you want. If you want to be scared, that's okay. We'll be scared in love. We'll be scared in fear. And I'm like, but I don't want to be scared. Well, what you preach about, what you think about, you bring about. So that's when I send love messages out to my friends. So when the way I have an unending desire to help and support people, to give to however many folks are on here this morning right now, to give to over 2,000 people, 2,000 people have poured into my life, and I poured into 2,000 people just since the beginning of January. How do I do that? Very well. There is no doubt. I have an unending source of joy and love to give. Why? Because the universe and my God gives me an unending source. I may be a little pain in the neck sometimes for him. It's like, oh my God, Sean needs more. Here we go. And he'll send me a message. He'll send me a friend. He'll do something because he just wants to use my friends around me to inspire me, to remind me. So that's when you decide that nothing can stop you, you become unstoppable in joy, in love, in business, in romance, in everything, because everything is a part of our life. Does that help? Awesome. Um, when do you feel inspired? When do you feel inspired? What is it in your life that inspires you? Is it quietly reading? When is it brushing? When we watch Giselle in the morning, sometimes getting the kids ready. Or Tessa. I saw Tessa the other day combing the kids' hairs. Hairs? Their hair. And there's this, oh, I got to comb the hair. Man, I got to tell you, what if everyone was the last one? Oof. Wouldn't that change? Wouldn't that change? If we knew when the sand would run out of the hourglass, would we treat life differently? That's the neat thing about music. I see Leo there. That's the neat thing about music. Music gets into your soul, man. You cannot miss the moment. You can't miss the step. When you are in beat, when you feel inspired in dancing, your whole freaking body moves. The challenge is we're not going into a dance when we go to a presentation. We're going to a firing squad. And we're firing messages at people. What do you like? What do you do? Would you like some more? Do you do enough? Do you understand trading? Do you understand health? Look how fat you are. You can't understand health. I mean, seriously. What if we played music? What music? Listen, this just entered into me. Thanks, Leo, for being here, brother. What if we played music when we started? What if we started playing music when we started a presentation, right? Amazon Music. And what music would play when you started your presentation? What would be the music that would play? You hear what I'm saying? So let's see here. Would your songs have all of the cuss words in them? I mean, is that what you would be playing to? Is that what you would want to talk over? Let's see here. Where's my album recently played recently? There's Santana. Rumi would be playing in the back. All right. So all of that to say, just think about that. What would be playing in the background?
I guess I'm wasting time, but I've got to clear my mind. I don't
Yeah, baby.
why I love you, but
Do you see what I'm saying? So what if Martin Gaye was playing? What if country music was playing? What if all of those things were playing in the background? Would that change your energy? You follow me? And here's why I say this. I've never taught that scenario before because all of you were here this morning. That's the first time I've ever heard myself say this. What music would be playing in the background? That's because I saw Leo and the dancing. And I love watching the dance videos. And they're just moving, right? And what makes a good dance? When two are doing it together flawlessly. Do you go to a dance where you guys don't know it? Who's leading the dance? What music? Are they listening to this and you're listening to something else? You know why you don't win the why you don't win the contest? Because you're in two different dance halls, let alone the same music. When's the last time inspiration struck you? I mean, got you out of bed, fired you up, and said, "Ooh, stop the presses." Good morning, Amelia. Good morning, Amelia. You follow me? All of these things that are doing inspiration that inspires you and absolutely motivates you. Things that you go, wait a minute, I haven't had these thoughts before. I need to work on these. Now, imagine if you ask these questions to your team. Do you think you'd get a better understanding of your team? Now, it doesn't have to be all of your team. It could be a team-wide training. But what I'm sharing with you, what I'm asking you is, your front line, the people that are first and foremost to you, the people that are helping you build your empire, do you know the answers to these questions to them? Have you ever been on a training where they teach you how to ask these questions to your team? Why would you want to ask these questions to your team? Because you don't really need any other training, do you? You don't need a script when you understand this stuff. That makes sense? Listen, Tony Robbins said this, you can't suffer. You can't suffer. Suffer is an internal decision. We're going to go through some questions here because I know that's controversial. Well, you've never lost somebody. You've never this, you've never that. Totally get it. But if you've ever gotten mad at somebody, listen carefully. How many of us have ever gotten mad at somebody? Type an N. How many of us have ever gotten mad at somebody and they weren't in the room? You got mad at them and they weren't in the room. Do you know who you were having an argument with? Yourself. and you call them crazy. That sons of bitches, blah, 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 blah. I can't believe it. They cut me, and then they were talking to somebody, they sponsored somebody I spoke to. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? They went across, and then they left, and they went to another. I can't believe them. How could they do that to me? Who are you talking to? Who are you yelling at? That guy that you know who, the guy that would just like cross recruited a whole bunch of people. Where are they? Well, they're not here, but I want my pound of flesh. Well, go to the deli. Go get a pound of salami. What can I tell you? You're nuts. Have you lost your mind? Goes back to that phrase that Joe Dispenza talked about. The mind is memory. The mind is the archive of everything that has ever happened to us. And the only way we can make a future decision is from our mind, the way most people operate. When you step into that flow of unbelievable possibilities, of the unknown, that's where I was going, of the unknown, you then wind up into an unpredictable future. Right now, your future is predictable. If you woke up the same way, you had the same conversation. It's why when you send out these 3 messages in the morning, you are showing your mind very subtly, very cautiously, very carefully that you are in charge of your future. You are sending joy out to the world, predicting new joy to come back from unknown places, from unknown souls, from unknown conversations. And the brain goes, well, what do we do with this? And you tell the brain, sit quietly and hold on, buttercup. It's going to be a fun ride. It's time for you to take back control of your possibility, your capability, and all of the things that you can do. Here's the thing. You know how long you have to be in charge? Only this moment. Only this moment. And only this moment. You get to choose in this moment. That's all you have to do. Being in charge isn't a lot of effort. It's only in this moment. And now it's in this moment. It's continuous, but it can also be effortless. So here's the next thing Tony Robbins says. If you haven't decided to if you haven't decided to love a joyous life, or you have to decide to love a joyous life. See, I got to be able to read my words. How you set yourself up, your mind up, so you are going to live in a life of no suffering no matter what. How do you set yourself up to do all of this? You got to have the input better than the output. You got to have a little bit more input, which means you got to have a little bit of space in there to put the input in. And see, when I ask you to send out your 3 messages, guess what that does? That frees up some space. Frees up some space of loving. And when you free up some space for loving and you gave some loving away, guess what the universe has to fill that with? Uh-oh, Ashley's got a hole in loving. Let's send some more loving. And you get these messages back that inspire you, that motivate you. How do you inspire somebody who doesn't seem to have any flame going on? You send them love. You light the fire with them. Too many people are telling them, here's how you should light your fire. You should read more. You should do more. You should exercise more. What if you gave them credit for where they're at right now? What in this moment makes them special? What in this moment, if God created the earth and He's looked at it and He said, this is good, and we all created in His image, her image, and there's a phrase in there I remember saying, even the least of you can do this and more. So if we all have that capacity, what would be a godlike conversation you could have with them? Maybe your love. I see you. So what would you need to set up to live in a joyous life? Suffering ends with one belief. Suffering ends in one belief. One belief. Some of you are saying BS right now, and I'd say you're right. Belief system. Life is about preferences. What do you prefer? You listen to all of the mystics, from Gandhi, be the change you want in the world, Sadhguru, In this moment, you can choose joy or misery. Which do you choose? Martin Luther King, I have a dream. What do you prefer in this moment? What do you prefer in this moment? It is your choice. And if you're fighting against your own preference, with the preference you desire to the preference you're experiencing, then you have to ask, who made that decision of the preference I don't desire? It proves we're not ourselves. If you ever said, oh my God, I wish I could just stop the thoughts in my mind, it proves we're not ourselves. It proves we have to slow down and go, well, isn't that interesting? Oh my goodness, who just ran through my head with a bunch of muddy shoes? Don't argue with an idiot. They'll bring you down to their level and beat you with their experience. How much of the things we say, we go, oh, I'm such an idiot. You're arguing with yourself. If you do say that, the next time you say that, I would encourage you to say, yeah, but I'm God's idiot. I'm a pretty dang good idiot. I'm the best one right now. Oh my gosh, you know what I just learned from this moment? Blah, 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 and go on. Do have a conversation. I've said this before. The only difference between us and the guy downtown who's walking around town and we cross over the street because we don't want to get near him because he's crazy. You know, the only difference between him and us, her and us, is they're talking out loud. That's the only difference. We're saying 14,000 words a minute. We're having 70,000 thoughts a day. I bet they have less thoughts than us. We call them crazy. I bet they have less thoughts than us because as they're talking, that's the only thing I can't believe they did this. They took my hot dog, blah, blah, blah. And the thing is cold and over here and I can't believe, and Suffer, and they're speaking in tongues and whatever. And you're going, they're crazy. Meanwhile, you're the one suffering. We see their physical, worldly appearance. How many of us are pretty damn good at hiding ours? Man, if we showed up the way we talk to ourselves, we wish we were downtown talking to the guy, talking on the street corners. Some of us are a wreck internally. In Jim Rohn's favorite word, until. Until. Some of us are a wreck. Until. I just saw Ralph mouth. Until. That's a good word, isn't it? I'd encourage you to use that word. Until. You'll get this? You're all geniuses. You really are. You are all geniuses. In my eyes, you're all God-given gifts to this planet at this moment. You're the ones that are put here to enhance it, to bring it value, to change the state. We can't point the finger out because when you're pointing the finger out, you got how many pointing back? 3. You're the one that has to do it. And if you start with your world, that would be amazing. Somewhere I read charity begins at home. All of this giving we want to do to everybody else. All of this giving we want to help everybody else with. What if we started in our own home? Is your family as happy as they could be? Could you put more smiles in your family's life? Could you be there just another moment? Do you know what it feels like? I don't know if I listen carefully to this one. Do you know what it feels like to have the multiplications of joy? Not just to be joyful, to have the multiplications of joy. What would happen? What would happen if somehow you became smooth enough, comfortable enough to ask these questions? How many of you have heard these questions asked before? If you've heard these questions asked before, say, if you've heard the questions asked before, type a yes. If you've not heard them asked before, type a no. If you've not heard these questions asked. So then the question becomes, if you've heard them asked before, are you using them every day? And if you haven't heard them asked before, the question is why hasn't somebody asked you these questions? Listen carefully. How many of you, listen, This one's going to slap some folks in the face, and they're not on this call. Listen carefully. This one's going to smack some folks in the face who are not on this call. Have you ever interviewed anybody before they gave you information? Have you ever qualified anyone before they started pouring into you? What makes Jim Rohn qualified to speak to you? I know why. What makes these mentors you talk about? Do you realize some of the things about these people that you might call mentors? Are they qualified? Or is it just a cool saying? Now, when I say you've interviewed them, you maybe like what they do. If any one of you have never had a chance to be with Jim Rohn, you've never interviewed him. You just like the results people seem to get while they're around them. But do you understand the core with which the people who you are taking information from, essence from, do you get where they're at? How many of you have decided to maybe do a little bit less Tony Robbins because of his swearing all of a sudden, right, in the last couple of years? How many of you love what Gary Vee says, but you just can't watch him? And some of you absolutely love what he does, and you find it amazing because you're in a neural pattern with him. And I saw him when he was having a conversation with teachers. He said, the reason I use that because that's the way I talk. If every word, listen, how many of you believe your thoughts influence your day? How many of you believe your thoughts influence your day? How many of you sat down and wrote those down? But how many of you, if you do have, I see Latoya say sometimes a profane mouth, if you use a word like that, how long does that vibration of that word last in the universe?
Oh, motherfucker.
How long does the vibration, for eternity. So how long do you want that vibration of negativity, of lack, of less than showing up? And if everything comes back, right, that's the definition of karma. Karma is just energy and flow. Whatever you send out comes back. That's karma. It's not whether it's good or bad. Karma is just karma. Karma is just energy. Everything's in a loop. Everything's in a circle. Just be aware of your energy. I'm not saying to not do it. What I am saying is that you have the opportunity to prefer how the universe acts around you. How many generations do you want your kids to be able to do stuff like that? What do you think would happen if those words were stricken off the face of the planet? I'm just curious, because you could do that. Do you realize that energetically, your kids are made up of how much of you? 50%? And when you say that, when you get frustrated, when you get mad, guess what happens in their bodies? Half of their bodies get upset, get mad. Use that word. If you don't know your great-great-great-grandmother or grandfather, but their nose is on your face, doesn't the trials and tribulations pass down generation to generation? Remember we talked about questions land on us in the 5 areas: chemical, neurological, biological. You do things just like your family. You do things just like your mother, your aunt, your uncle, your cousin. Oh my God, you're just like your cousin Sally, and you never met your cousin Sally? That's because the bodies biologically remember everything. Your body, every cell in your body stores more memory than any of the greatest computers we have. Every cell in your body stores more memory. How many cells do you have that are storing memory? How is it possible that you can remember your first kiss when your body has rebuilt itself from the age of 15, 16, 17? How many times does science tell us that your body rebuilds itself? How can you still remember that? Because it gets transitioned every time a cell duplicates the old memory. You know why they say it takes 21 days to form a habit? Because it takes 21 days to actually start believing and rebuilding enough cells. 10 million cells every second are doubling, are building out, and they're building out with new energy, with new hope. And when it builds out that 21 days, you finally have maybe the possibility, the inkling, the slightest chance that you can now start a continuous movement of you building a life of what you want in your cells, of duplicating a life of what you want in your cells. It takes a year for you of constant, continuous improvement to actually make it sink in. This 21 days, that's to change your cells. That's to form a habit. Then you have to have the opportunity to stay in touch, stay in tune to make all of this happen. That's why you set a 90-day goal and you suck at it. I'm talking to myself because we didn't worry about the 9 seconds right after we made the decision. Yeah, I get a little fired up. How do you feel when you share? How do you feel when you're not sharing? You have a choice. Do you want to share? Do you not want to share? Here's the question. Are you aware that you are constantly sharing all the time? All the time? All the time? You just think when you're privately by yourself, alone in a dark room, you're not sharing. Oh, but you are. You're sharing with yourself. Guess who's hearing? Yourself. Do you know when you pray? When do you pray? You pray when it's quiet. You pray when you need focus. You pray when you need help. Every word out of your body is a prayer. Did you get that? Have you ever heard of that? Every word out of your body is a prayer. When you tell your kids, I love you, when you tell your friends, I love you, isn't that a prayer? Aren't you hoping they get it? See, when we pray, we hope we get an answer. When you tell somebody that they're important in your business, when you tell somebody that they're important in your life, don't you pray they get it? How many times do we get sad when we say, oh my gosh, I thought I poured into them. I don't know why they stopped working. I don't know why they said this would be so good for them. Why did they stop? Because they didn't hear the answer to their prayers. Thank goodness God doesn't get disappointed. Can you imagine? Just me. I'm not worried about you. I'm talking about me. With what I did yesterday, you know how many times he could have went, ugh, he's hopeless. He's absolutely hopeless. But I'll send him another answer. I'll give him another clue. I'm here. I'm ready. Standing right over my shoulder, tapping me every breath of every second, going, I'm here. Put me in. I'm here. I'm ready. Put me in. Put me in. How many of you have ever been on sports going, put me in, coach. You wanted the ball. You wanted the ball. Put me in. Put me in. Put me in. The universe's answers are standing right there on your shoulder, right? Either shoulder, whichever way you look. Omnipresent, I think, is the word. You got this. I'm tagging you. I'm tagging you. Talk about having that on a tag team. Your preferences. Can you think for a moment in life when you're not sharing? Absolutely not. We may think we're not sharing, but we're sharing with ourselves. Does your business feel like you are in a state of blessing and joy? Ugh, I have a prospect. Ugh, I'm so far behind. Ugh, I need more money. This thing ain't working. Well, that sure as hell ain't a blessing and a joy. I know this is totally contrary to get the grind, do the 10 presentations, move the 10 pennies, do all of this, all of that, all of this, all of that. It's your business. Listen, if you were going to sponsor you, would you want to be sponsored by you? Would you want to go, that's going to be my upline? Oh my God. Are you kidding me? They're about as sexy as a potato sandwich. They got about as much joy as a wet candle. And they're going to inspire me? You know when you lose your inspiration is when you step out of you. The other day when I was talking with Leo and I said, here's how you have a conversation about your dance. I mean, nobody's got an easier conversation than somebody who teaches dance. Nobody's got an easier conversation than somebody who's raising kids. Nobody has an easier conversation than somebody who's running multiple businesses. Why? Because that's what you're doing. Latoya gets to say every morning, I've partnered with a company that lets me wake up and light myself on fire every day. Somebody's going to go, how do you do that? Very well. Why do you ask? See, it's when we start to, they don't want the answer. They don't want the answer because they're looking for two things, a reason to get started or an excuse not to. And as soon as you open your cake hole with your answer, which isn't them, they don't own it, they can't see it, they can't feel it, you open your cake hole and go, here's how I do it. They go, oh, see, I can't do that. This ain't for me. But when you say this simple thing, very well, why do you ask? Their brain goes, I have to answer that question. Why did I ask? Holy crap, why did I ask that? Because I'd like to do that. Great. When would you like to start? Now? Good. We should get started then, shouldn't we? Uh-huh. Let me explain to you the comp plan, tell you about our officers. Let me tell you about the industry where they want the fire, baby. Why are you putting it out? Telling them facts. Stories sell, facts tell. You want to prove how smart you are? Give me a presentation. What does a getting mindset make you feel like? Man, I'm going to get them. Hey, did you get them in your business? Did you get them in your business? Did you get them signed up? Did you get them in your business? How many are you going to get today? How many did you get today? How many did you get? How many of you want to be gotten? There's a difference. Gotten or begotten. There's only begotten son. Big difference. Some of you are trying to get it done. What if you give it done? What does a giving mindset feel like? People ask me all the time. I get private messages from you guys all the time, and I love them. Thank you. I do my best to respond to everyone. It's crazy after the calls. I absolutely love you guys. I'm just in love with all of you. How do you do this? How do you do this every single day? How do you give every single day? It's a given mindset. I'm responsible to you, not for you. That's a huge difference. When that sinks in, when that crosses over, I'm responsible to you, not for you. I'll give you the best I got. And because I gave you the best I have in this moment, there's nothing else I have to do. What have you suffered over? What have you suffered over? And are you done suffering with it? Then why did you suffer at all? If you could get over it now, what were we waiting for to get over? Who have you suffered over? That's a toughie. Ladies, that's a toughie. Guys, that's a toughie as well. But who have you suffered over? What have you been doing with suffering in your life? How's that been helping you? Where do you use that in the building of your empire? Living a suffering life. How do you use that in your empire? Man, I am the king. I am the queen of suffering. You should join me. What? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. What? And if suffering, a life of suffering is taking up space in your room, absolutely, cash flow. If suffering is taking up space in your life, what blocks of success are you not able to use? He left you. You should be pissed off. You're right. I should be. Thank you. Have a nice day. What's the story? Morning glory? What's the story? What would you feel like to end suffering in your life? What would you feel like? If suffering ended in this moment, guess what you get to do? Guess what I get to do, and some of you on this call may get to do. What do we get to do with all of our suffering? You go rent one of those big moving containers, shipping containers, and you get it all out and you go put it in the shipping container and you put, what's the deliver address to it? Deliver to what? To God. For me, I'm getting better at that. I had to find the combination to open the door. I had the container, but I didn't know how to open the door to put all the suffering in. Now I'm getting better at that. And you know what? I don't have to pay the shipping fee. I just got to pack the boxes. What would happen? What would have to happen for to end suffering in your life? What old story would you have to give up to end suffering in your life? What old story? You know, the story I used to carry around is I never went to college. I'm not that smart. I don't have a degree. Barely made it through high school. Those are all my suffering stories. Those are all the many crosses I get to carry. Hold on just a second. Yes, sir? Yes. That's all right. That's all right. Just take it to practice. I'll come get it. Yeah, yeah. Or just put it in the car. Stick it in the back of your car. All right. Love you. Okay, bye. So Mason was at practice and he took up one of my folding green screens, which is one of those things you got to twist and turn. He's like, I can't fold it back up. You got to be smarter than the green screen. Just put it in the car. See, here's God. You're amazing. Guess what Mason was doing right now? Guess what Mason was doing right now? He was suffering, trying to figure out how to put it back in the box. It comes in this little round thing, right? None of the kids could figure out how to twist it. So the suffering happened at such a level that he called me. And what did I tell him? Just take it with you. I'll come pick it up. It's a green screen. It's I don't know what it even cost. $50, $60. If they tore it, I'd go, that'd be too bad. Just stick it in the car. We'll figure it out later. And guess what happened? Guess what happened? As soon as he gave up that suffering, guess what happened? Did his life get better? How many of you are holding on to the suffering, hoping that life gets better? You hold on to the hot pot. Tell me how that's working out for you. This pot's burning me. Well, set it down. No, if I set it down, I won't have the story of my hands burning. And now that story's over. Now that story's over. I'm in joy because my son called me. He was suffering. On the grand eternal scale, probably not a real big sufferer. I get that. But he wanted to serve me because it went in a certain order. He was given this gift that was all nice in this package. He used the gift. And then what happened? He didn't know what to do with it. The gift, he didn't need the gift anymore. It was for the photos. They were taking photos of the kids this morning, all of the players. And so I said, just put a green screen behind them so that we can put whatever background we want. We can change it whenever we want. So they used the green screen, evidently. Now he doesn't know what to do with the gift. How many of you don't know what to do with the gifts you've been given? What am I supposed to do with this? God said you didn't have to hold on to it forever. It's why kids grow up. They may not move out, but that's why they grow up. Is this helping? Is this valuable this morning? Cool. Could you imagine? Some of you have had these conversations, but we've only really touched on it at the beginning. When was the last time you went deep with somebody? Here's the thing. Rhonda and I are blessed to know each other, and I'm blessed to have her in my life. And we talk almost every day. And we have these conversations, like daily. And I say that, and they're not very long. Why? Because I tell people all the time, listen, I'm on a small talk diet. I'm not here to have a conversation about the weather. I'm on a small talk diet. I'm going into the deep end of the pool quick because in the blink of an eye, my time on this planet is gone. And I've learned that if we can have a relationship in the deep end of the pool, when the waves at the shallow end show up and they start splashing everywhere, we can handle that. It's when we move the currents that we change the tides. Not splashing on the surface, it's when we move the currents deep in the ocean that we change the tide of our life. Ooh, that might be a meme somewhere. So this is okay. So this is the end of it. This is the from questions from a training I do called the Last Frontier of Success. This isn't about you becoming smarter than everybody else. This is about helping people realize how smart they are, how gifted they are. Think about that. When the tides change on this planet because the Earth swells and contracts and swells and contracts because of the moon, it ain't the surface that's moving, it's the currents deep within the oceans that are moving. And then here's the funny thing. Is it even the water that's moving or is it the earth that's moving? Talk about change of state of mind. The tides aren't coming in, the earth is going out. How much force do you have over the planet called you? Did you ever, I mean, I don't know if anybody, that's the first time I've ever, that's come to my mind. The tide doesn't come in. Do you get that? The tide doesn't come in. Water's water. Doesn't it always seek its level? So if the tide's going to rise, if I take a baggie filled with water and it's at a certain level and I squeeze the bag, doesn't the water rise? Did I put more water in it? No. And if I let the bag out more than the squeeze, doesn't the water drop? Might be a little change the way you look at things and the things you look at change. Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing? Let's see here. Invite and manage participants. I love having questions. I love using questions, talking about questions. So, with that being said, how y'all doing? Let's go to Latoya. Latoya, on line one, you've got a question.
Well, hello, everyone. Thank you for having me on the call. I really thank you for the paradigm shift calls. And it really just give me in a deeper thought, like to bring up whatever I've been hiding or suppressing. Because I think like simple with children, I don't know about you all, but I used to be told don't tell everybody everything. Something we keep to ourselves. But when that start happening and you start suppressing things and you start painting on your face like you're happy, but inside you like, man, I've been going through this, I've been going through that, but we don't tell everybody everything. I think it comes from that old programming. Would you agree to that? That like that old program, like you're not supposed to tell everybody everything, you're supposed to keep things to yourself. So we could be growing through something, but we'd be like, but I don't want to tell nobody because I don't want nobody to think anything different of me or judge me. So I think it's that old programming. Because
here's the other thing, Latoya.
Okay.
When we say we're not supposed to tell everybody everything.
Yeah.
You realize our body's telling them everything. We just have to
right.
So who you are speaks so loud. I don't need to hear what you're saying. That's why it's the essence. That's why we could have the perfect script. I could give you a script that I use and it enrolls people 100% of the time, every single time, no matter what. If there was a script like that, you would want it. Here's the challenge. You would use it and you go, it doesn't work. Doesn't work. That's great. He's lying. It doesn't work. And then you see me use it and it goes, it works. Oh my God. So here's the thing. The reason that it works is because it's the essence.
Okay.
So that's why, like I say, imagine if every time before Leo sat down, he played some salsa music and he asked the person to dance with them before then, and they both sat down and they went, whoo, man, I feel good. What are we going to talk about? I don't know, but whatever it is, we're going to do it. As long as we get to do that every time before we have a conversation, we get to dance every time, I'm in. And imagine, I see he's got a beautiful family there, but imagine if it was women hanging around him going, man, I get to dance with him all the time. Oh, heck yeah. Thank you, Latoya.
Yes, thank you so much. Love you all.
Love you too.
And I'm grateful for you all. Let's go.
We're all grateful for you as well. Thanks for your smile.
No problem.
Hey, Gisela, good morning. Line 2. We've got Gisela on line 2.
Hola, 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 Sean, my friends, my misfits. I love you all. This call was on fire. And I want to share a little bit of a story. It happened yesterday. I was walking with my husband to the metro station. He had a doctor's appointment. He's been having trouble with a knee. He had so far like 6 surgeries on his knee. He used to be a jumping out of airplanes. So after years of doing that, he had knee problems. So the last surgery, they took a tendon and placed it on his knee. And he's been, going to physical therapy and everything. And he told me yesterday as he was going to the doctor that he was happy and sad. And I asked him, why are you happy and sad? And he said, well, I'm happy because I finally go and see this doctor because my knee is bothering, it's hurting, it's painful. And I said, why are you worried? And he said, well, the last time I was with the doctor, he told me the next time it's going to be knee replacement. And I just don't want that. And I said, Pete, what about if you change the attitude? Be grateful you're walking to the metro station, that, you have good medical insurance that covers for, all of this. Be thankful that you still been able to do so many things where so many people can't. And what about if this is God's molding process on you? You need to have a little bit more faith, and maybe this isn't your molding process. So we go to the doctor. The doctor say, okay, let's get an x-ray. And he gets the x-ray, and he goes with this sad face and sits down to the doctor. And the doctor say, this is great. And Pete like, what's great? This means that the tendon is joining with the muscle, with the bone. So pain is good. It's actually good. It means that you are actually improving and you're faster in your recovery process. You should be having these kinds of, symptoms like 6 months into the surgery. It's 4 months. So this means everything is great. Look, and he showed him the x-ray. And the face of my husband was like, pain is good. He was not like joining the dots that pain is temporary. It was good. He just needs some mild, anti-inflammatory, but he's going to be good. His knee is fine. And I was thinking, like, so many times we go through our life journey, our business journey, and, we struggle, we have problems, and it's painful. But keep in mind, sometimes pain is good as God is molding us and making us in the better version, the heavenly version he has for all of us. And is always temporary. And that's what I get. And this topic today was just all in sync with what happened yesterday, because my husband was feeling like in the suffering mode, like, my old story, like my bad knee. And yesterday God gave him like, no, pain is good. And it means that you're getting better. So I just want to kind of share that. And it goes along with what we talked about and decisions, how we looked at things and how we decide to live our life, enjoy, happiness, love, or keep into our stories of, suffering and worried. And just want to give you a little bit of that today and hope it makes sense.
Gisela, it does. And one of the things that came to me was, if we're created in his likeness and in his being, and he could heal with somebody touching his robe, what could we heal? What could we heal if we just decided to be healed? Do we need to? Do we? It's when we think it's in our hands, right? The same thing is that, and I know this is, I don't know, I don't think it'll sound blasphemous, but if we sit across the table from somebody and help them become successful in their business, aren't they healing themselves? Didn't we have the power to help heal them? We just got to realize it's not within our control. If they just take a step, if they move forward, if we match them step for step, but they got to take the first step. What's the first step when we ask for help from God? We pray. Pray, please, I'll go to church every Sunday if you do this. What if it's not in our hands, but what if we have the hands to pass it along?
Mhm.
Thank you for sharing that story. I had this question. I wonder, does God have to ask questions to somebody, or is it just an absolute all-powerful, all-knowing? What if we had that faith? What if we had the faith that everything, if he made the planet and this is good, as his words say, isn't even the tragedies good? I mean, his only son was put on a cross. That's good. Giving us, the rest of us, to focus on something. Awesome for sharing that. Thank you. We got Michael on line 4. Michael, go ahead with your question. Good to have you here, brother.
Yo, Sean, it's good seeing you again, brother. How are you?
Outstanding, man.
I'm not gonna lie. I actually just want to say thank you for all this, because I genuinely do feel like peace of mind. Like before I was like obviously up asking this question, I obviously sent out this 3 texts again, and it was just like boom, like things started hitting different. So it felt really good, and I'm grateful to like be here with you guys for that. I hope you don't mind me asking, Sean. I kind of got a technical question about network marketing, and it's kind of simple. It was just like, what would you do like when you follow up with someone and you didn't set up a follow-up date and you just want to reach out to them again? Like, how would you start up a conversation again?
So, Michael, you and I haven't talked in a while. Has anybody thanked you for just being an amazing soul? I know I haven't thanked you in a while. Appreciate you.
Honestly, some people have.
No. That's it. That's it. That's it. What else do you need to say? Because are you trying to get them to do business with you?
Yeah, that was the thing.
So here's the thing: people do business. People do business with who? People they what?
They like and respect.
Know, like, and trust. So they haven't responded to you. They haven't connected back with you because maybe they don't know you. Maybe they don't like you. Maybe they don't trust you. Maybe you haven't given them a reason to take up brain space. What's the most powerful thing in the world? What do men and women die for and babies cry for? We say it in network marketing all the time. Recognition. You want to take up brain space, recognize it. Because if you bring up the business, if you bring up the opportunity, guess what they're going to think? There's another 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 2 months that's passed by in my life, and I've not done anything. I'm a loser. Don't give them a reason to disconnect.
Wow, that was perfect. That was actually perfect. Thank you.
This energy. Here's the challenge. I'm guessing, based upon the photos I've seen on Instagram and stuff, you hang out with some pretty amazing people, but there's an energy level that you have that's just a little bit more than most of your buddies.
Yeah.
So when you come across as wanting to serve, people can't hear the volume of your service, because they hear the volume of I'm not good enough. Whoa. You show up with that smile. Imagine if you did a little video message to them. You know what? We haven't connected in a while. I just want you to see a big smile from me to say thank you for all you do. And I can't wait till the next moment our energies circle in time and space. Have an amazing day.
Yo.
Dude, you have such an unfair advantage over so many people because your smile is genuine. Your love is genuine. And what happens is that at your age group, your genuine is like, what does he want? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh my God.
See if it makes sense. My daddy said, what? It'll make dollars. But just love people. Just love people. And they can't hear.
Awesome.
Could you imagine if I put all of this down in just writing and I didn't put my emotion behind it? You didn't get to see my face. Could you imagine if I was operating like this all day long? None of you would be on the freaking call. You'd be seeing my face, me pointing at you, and he's the #1 Amazon bestseller. Who the frick is this guy? His slides got spelling errors. He's an idiot. He says words wrong. But if I show up like this, y'all get to fall in love with my soul. Don't give them a reason to disconnect. There's 3 kinds of marketing. We're taught 2. There's push marketing, right? Where you get half a 1% open on your email rates. There's pull marketing. There's let me pull you into my life. You should be with me. You should be trading. You should be with me. It's called injected value marketing, but nobody wants to teach you that. I'm telling you, you should be following me. Then there's the third one, the most difficult one, the easier of all of them, but the most difficult one because you have to be present. And that's let me do something that pulls me into your life. Y'all show up here this morning. There's 68 of you on this call this morning because you pulled me into your life. I didn't tell any one of you to get on this call. You didn't have to look for a link for Nano, or maybe you did. You didn't have to go on to Instagram and click on the Telegram to get the link, but maybe you did. But I didn't call any of you up and go, are you going to be on the call? I had people messaging me at 4:30 in their morning going, are we doing a call today? Yes, I apologize that you woke up early, but we're doing it. It's 2 hours later on the weekend. Why are people messaging me at 4:30 in the morning? Because I've done something of value that you pulled me into your life. You get that? So, Michael, you have this gift of being this high energy soul. Some people don't know how to deal with that. They call you names, they give you titles and all of this stuff. If you left a message that was of your highest joy at the slowest possible pace, because sometimes your joy runs them the hell over. Dude, this is so amazing. You won't believe what's happening right now. I'm so excited to tell you about this. And they're like, whoa, fire hose. You could slow your conversation down by half, and people wouldn't know what to do with your energy. I'm going to ask you to change the tempo of your dialogue. Change the volume of your voice. And when you listen, I just wanted to leave you this quick message. I don't know if anybody's told you today, but thank you. That pause lets them chew on that. I don't know if anybody's told. What if everybody? What is everybody supposed to tell me today that I was supposed to be listening to? That Michael's going to tell me. I don't know if anybody said this to you today, but thank you. Thank you. And in those moments, they get to absorb you. They get to pull you into their life. Does that help?
Yeah, it does so much. Thank you so much, brother. I really do appreciate it.
Isn't it cool when you get the answer? Isn't it cool when you realize, I got it. I'm the thing. I'm the thing. I'm the prize.
Yeah.
I love it. Thanks for asking the question. I know these questions, some of these questions seem so simple or elementary, yet we have the greatest gift in the response. I love it. Thanks, brother. We've got Dance Man, the Music Machine, the Music Man on line 6. Leo, go ahead with your question.
My man, Big Brother Sean. Good morning.
Good morning, brother.
How are you?
Outstanding now that I get to have a conversation with you.
I love that. Oh, man, I'm better than good, better than most now, for sure. I just want to say thank you, Sean, for continuing to pour into us each and every single morning at whatever time zone that we're in. It's so appreciative because I've been in personal development for over 12 years because I've got introduced to network marketing at 19 while I was dancing, while I was on a scholarship in college for swimming. And I fell in love with this profession and I fell in love with mastering self. And it's led me to so many different places in my life. And one of them is being able to open up a dance studio later on. We're going into our 5th year now. And last year was one of the most interesting years for me because I got introduced to also dancing with someone I hold very dear, close to me, that we also used to do network marketing together. We no longer do network marketing together. We just dance. And what's interesting is that through dancing with her and performing with her and teaching with her, my life expanded so much because she's a big figure in the dance community. And while I was, working my dance studio and also doing these classes with my friend, a lot of things conflicted, and I had a lot of conflicting emotions and feelings that led into the world also asking, who do you dance with? Are you just working in this dance studio, or are you also dancing with this person? And her name is Grisel. And it was so interesting for me because I started suffering. This is where today's call is so amazing, because I was suffering because I was doing so many things for other people, that I wasn't doing things that served me. And what serves me is serving others, which is very interesting and conflicting at the same time. But I was spread thin, and I didn't honor a lot of my commitments. That led into my relationship with my studio partner to dwindle, to the point where she actually had to question whether I was her partner or not. And also there was some conflicting emotions with her and how I was promoting, with my other partnership. Long story short, recently, I've had this very big awakening, and it's been through not only coming back into the profession again in network marketing, but also being on the morning calls with Nino. Shout out to mornings with Nano. Mornings with Nano, man. I've been on this call since October, and then of course him introducing me to you. Just this beautiful line of mentorship has aligned me so much so that I've been starting doing more of my internal work. And now my partnership with my partner, her name is Eliani, with the studio. With our studio has gotten so much better because I'm organized, or my mind is at peace. Our partnership is at peace. And right now we're working on being able to initiate more programs and doing more things. Because of all of this alignment, our studio's been growing, our events been growing. It's been amazing, but at the same time, what also has me conflicted again is that because I'm back in the profession, how do I do everything? But everything is becoming a lot more aligned because of Abraham. I was listening to Abraham Hicks this morning. We want to be selfless, but we forget to also understand to honor the word selfish, if we need to put that in the physical context of anything, because we need to be able to honor self before we can honor anyone else. And it's taken me this, I guess if time is relative to it, it's taken me this long to really understand that. And now that I'm dancing into a lot of my conversations in my world, I'm looking to also align that with my business. So, or multiple businesses. So right now it's about expansion. And this call this morning was perfect because it shed a light on things that I learned about suffering and things that I'm still also asking questions about. And so I'm saying all that to say thank you. And I really appreciate everything that you do. And this is what I'm experiencing right now in my moment. So.
Well, Leo, thank you, brother, for sharing that. And here's the thing. As you come to these awarenesses of your studio doing better, your business relationship with your partner getting better, a couple of things to ask yourself. Where was that all the time? Where was the better business? Where was the better relationship? Was it something outside and somebody came to your store? Did UPS drop that off? Did Amazon Prime deliver the better relationship, or was it always inside you?
It was always inside.
So
sure.
here's the fact that I say, be more, have more, do less. Guess what you had to do less of? You had to do less of carrying around the story that my relationship isn't good. And as soon as you gave that up, boom, the universe goes, look how great we're pouring more people into this. And you're like, I don't know how this happened. Our relationship got better as soon as you made the what? The decision. Incision means to cut in. Decision means to cut off. You cut off that the old story was we got a crappy relationship. So you're doing less. It's less stress. Is the business now coming in? There's going to be new stresses, but is it less stressful in your relationship?
Oh yeah, it's more focused about the business now than our personal relationship. I mean that's always that's always a continuous understanding, but or work. But yeah, it's more about the business now.
So do less and you're having more. You're having less stress in your relationship and you're having more. It is that fundamental. Row, row, row your boat
Gently down this. Mm-hmm.
Right? Don't you tell people, let the music flow into you. Let the thing flow into you. Let the relationship flow into you. Let the business flow into you. You've been resisting the business. You've been trying to dance with two casts on. And you're making a hell of a lot of noise on the dance floor. And you're stepping on everybody else's toes. When you took the cast off, when you took this idea, this thought that our relationship can't grow anymore, or it's got to grow in a certain way, and when you let go and you broke out of the cast of a predetermined decision, and you broke out of that and you go, let's just flow. Now all of a sudden your business is flowing in.
Now for me, that is translating that into my network marketing business. That right there is exactly what that is, Sean. All that resistance.
That's it. What we resist persists.
Yes, sir.
I love you. Thank you for sharing, bro.
I love you. Thank you, Sean.
So what's one thing you learned, one thing you liked from today? What's one thing you wrote down I know you wrote a bunch. I was watching.
I was looking at all these notes today. I got notes. Gold. You were dropping gold. Or we say in New York, you were dropping that sauce this morning.
I think I got a little on me.
Oh, bye, Mom. That's my love.
Un beso, abrazo.
That's my life partner and my dance partner. Okay, one thing that I loved today was that you brought up about giving love. One of the things that I'm really big about as a teacher, as a coach, as a trainer, in my studio and with my students is we come here to do something that invokes a spirit and expression, and we do something that most people may not get a chance to do, or may not have the opportunity to wake up to do, and we get to do that together. And it's about giving love, and I give acknowledgement, I give love so much to my students that what happens is that they feel that, and it comes back to me that not many instructors do that, especially in the SOS community here. And I teach here in New Jersey, so the SOS community here in New Jersey, they often feel that teachers are like, all right, cool, you're just gonna learn this step and this turn pattern, and that's it, and then you get your money. So a lot of my students are like, you know what I love about coming here is that it's about family. And what we talked about this morning was about giving love is I want to continue to ask my students, what do you feel inspired by? And I've noticed that I got from you, I asked my students, what do you like and what do you love? And what I'm getting is more of their feedback and their understanding of that this is not just a dance or a sequence of 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, but this is about what dance can do for them and invoke their own expression. Therefore, that they have their own style, because I don't want them to look just like me, but I want to give them the understanding that they can be the best that they can be. And if I get to be a vessel of that and leave them better than how I found them or how they found me, then man, I'm living my purpose. And for me, that is the true understanding of why I'm here on this planet. And now, again, the resistance of translating that into my other businesses, right? Like I get that as a teacher, like when I'm in dance, I'm ultimate, I'll say Vegeta, like I'm ultimate Vegeta, you know, and Dragon Ball Z's term, but yeah, that's what I learned today. I'm sorry. And what I liked is just I love being a part of this community. I love everyone on this call, all the questions, the synergy and the energy and the nucleus that's created because of you. So I appreciate it, Sean.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. And I want to give a shout out to the first person who's followed these lives on YouTube, Forex and Familia. And I'm actually chatting over there on the YouTube channel with them. So thank you for being one of the first ones, I think the first one to follow these calls on YouTube. So you get a huge shout out and thank you for doing that. So I'm going global. Oh my gosh. But anyways, I'm like a little kid. Thanks, Leo, for sharing that, brother.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
All right, we've got Jesse on line 13. Go ahead, Jesse. 13's a lucky number.
Hello, guys. It's not Jesse today. I have her phone.
Now, okay, so here's the thing. How many of you saw Noah earlier with the dreadlocks in full bloom going on there? Dang, sexy. Good Lord.
Thank you for that. Thank you for making me feel good. Thank you.
Noah.
But it's the universe, man. God, whatever you want to call it, has just really been pushing things to me lately. And it's really funny because my wife and I last night, we had a long discussion and talk about part of the topic that was discussed here today, and that was suffering. And we talked about how we were suffering together, how we were suffering apart, just many different things, and how we can come together. And I'm not really a huge talker. Like, I'm one of those guys, I guess you could say. I feel like when the conversation is over, it's over. But last night, we really changed something. We really set into place something that I really enjoyed. I really liked. I really cherished. And like I said, man, the universe is so crazy and so funny how we get on your call this morning, and what's the topic? We're talking about suffering. So it's just it's so funny. It's so crazy. Just
You have no idea how many emails to God it takes me to get you all in the same page.
Oh, I swear. You must be talking to him all day. But I thank you for talking to him. I thank you for constantly talking to him, because I know that I am, because I need answers. We all need answers. And just being on this call just reassured me that we're headed in the right direction. It may be rough, it may be hard, but we are headed in the right direction. So listen, thank you guys. Thank you, Sean. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it.
So I need you to congratulate yourself at some point today, whether it's you taking time to wipe down your tools a little different. You know what I mean? Just something that put a screwdriver on order. I don't know, but you know what I mean? Give yourself this little gift that's something for you, for showing up, because you're a strong Black guy. You're a strong Black man. You've got firm beliefs. You got firm understandings. You were raised in a world that didn't always give you the benefit of the doubt. And now you're accelerating and you're exceeding so many people's expectations, right? Because when people bring their $50 million plane in and you show up, they're like, how long's he been working here?
Yeah, I had you saw my head wrap on the other day. My boss asked me, he's like, what are you trying to do? I said, scare off all the customers. So, but at the same time, that's not about me. It's about them. It's about the story that they have. So I do what I want. I'm going to live my life how I feel fit.
So here's the thing. And in doing that, so let me ask you, in your fitness, how you see fit, is joy or misery the part of the future?
Joy, always.
So guess what you got to give up?
Misery, suffering.
Yeah. And sometimes it's the chip on the shoulder. You know I love you. You know I love you. You know I love you. Sometimes because the world isn't fair for you. The world isn't fair for a lot of people, but it's a lot more unfair for y'all. And that's just stereotypes and racism and all of that stuff. And I know I'm touching the third rail of the conversation, but you know I love you and you know how strong you are.
Yes.
So this whole thing is you now get to say in every situation, I get to. You don't have to. I get to.
Absolutely.
I'm so proud of you, brother.
Thank you, guys. I love y'all.
Oh, my gosh. How cool is this? Oh, appreciate you, Noah. Love you, man.
Thank you, guys. Love you. I'm going back in this event. I'm here in Atlanta.
Oh, cool. Go in the event. Love you. How cool is this? These are my friends. How cool is this? I get to call you all my friends. How cool is this? All right, we got Lewis. Lewis, how are you, brother? I got to see that hair. Where's Lewis? You there? He'll be back.
Now.
Oh.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, Lewis.
Okay, perfect. Hi, Sean. How are you doing?
Outstanding, brother.
That's good. So, Sean, I was so motivated by your calls, by everything that's happening right now in my life, that I decided to open a company dedicated to entrepreneurs and technology. So right now, like, I'm really hyped because on Puerto Rico, we don't have a lot of entrepreneurs. We don't have a lot of people that just have the mindset to help other people to grow, to start their own business. So what I'm doing is I start this company so we can have a place where all people, I want to create what you have, basically, literally. And I want all the people on my company to come and join these calls every day with you. So what I want to know, what I have in doubts right now is how can I start promoting, promoting this movement, this call, this wave on here on the Aspen.
So I'll ask you something that was asked, maybe it was just last weekend.
Okay.
A buddy of mine, Scott Schilling, asked somebody who had just written against 50 Shades of Grey. He asked this question, and I'll ask it to you. Are you looking for impact or are you looking for fame?
Impact.
So how many people do you need to impact for you to be successful?
Just one by one. I want to impact everyone, one by one.
Start with one. Who's the first one that would be best impacted with your joy and your energy?
Anyone, basically.
Start with you. I started this call December 17th, 2018. And I started because I said, enough is enough. I'm going to start teaching and speaking in myself by presenting and caring and giving. So start off with starting with yourself, doing the training by yourself. Record it so people can come back and watch it. But just start with yourself. Begin where you're at. The energy that has given you the desire to start this entrepreneurial spirit in Puerto Rico, you need to start now. That's the best way to get started. Hey, listen, I'm going to go do a call. Make it 15 minutes. Make it twice a week. But here's what I will tell you from a business standpoint, whatever you start doing, you cannot stop.
Okay.
For a year, I did these calls. There were sometimes 5 people on these calls. A year. You know how many times I wanted to? Almost every day. Until somebody said, your call yesterday inspired me. One person, I was for impact, not fame. And now all of a sudden I have all of these amazing souls who show up, and I'm still for impact, not fame. I love all of the posts on Instagram. My ego side of me goes, look, they love me. Look, they love me. and then I say, you know what? But I love them more. And go get a meme. Go get a meme with just like your little picture with the phone gives you with curly hair like that. Go get a meme with that. Dude, that is a trademark. That hair, and just let it be curly, and let ideas be shooting out of that. Let entrepreneurship be shooting out of that. Just whatever it is, but that dude, you're sexier than I am. People are watch yours than mine.
You're a bomb. You're a bomb, Sean. I really love you.
I love you so much, man. I can't wait till we all get together. Misfits on parade.
Yes. Thank you so much.
We need to go down to Condalo area, to Old San Juan, someplace down there by the Renaissance. Go by the ship. Go down to the beach.
Please come by. We'll go to the beach. We'll go everywhere.
Okay, man. Love you, brother. Thanks for being here. Did
love
that help
you, Sean? Yes, a lot. Okay. A lot. Thank you.
I need you in this world, brother.
Thanks, Sean.
Thank you. Hey, let's go to Dana Scranton. Now, folks, let me just make sure Dana's here. Dana, you there, brother?
I am here, Sean.
Okay, before you chat, I need to just do a little intro. And I know you're like, what? Listen, Dana is one of these souls, absolutely brilliant. He lives both ends of the spectrum, meaning the absolute brilliant engineering mind that he dealt in thermodynamics. I mean, just that's a whole nother world. But in understanding that, he still understands the love of an animal, the love of a puppy. He puts on these events on his ranch that has these dog obstacle courses, and he gets to see people who are doing training. He gets to see people who are in love. He gets to see how people inspire another race of being to absolutely perform and succeed. So he just has this joy and the wisdom that he always shares. It absolutely sits me back in my chair every time. So I'm just so glad he gets to share this morning. Good morning, Dana.
Well, thank you for that introduction, Sean. And thank you for today. Man, you have really amped up your game on this wonderful day. Thank you. Well, the first thing I want to do is, while Noah is still hanging on there, the other day Noah was lamenting that, he really wanted to get after his YouTube channel and start doing that, and he just felt some trepidation and fear in doing so. And it dawned on me, having spent countless hours on corporate jets, that what he does is a very detailed job. He has to be absolutely precise about what he does when he maintains an aircraft, because somebody's going to get in that airplane with complete and total trust that the guy that turned the wrench, plugged in the avionics, knew what he was doing. And that happens to a lot of us in life. What we do in life, the experiences that we expose ourselves to, most often program who we are. But in Noah's case, he has such a powerful mission behind him. This is one of those things where the Sean Murphyism of you got to put the heart into the business really comes into play. There comes a time when you have to divorce yourself from what you do every day to earn a living and get in contact with your heart, because that's where the true meaning of life is. And you have emphasized that today in major ways. And one of the points you made, the Bible verse you're referring to, there's 3 or 4 of them, but the one that I believe is most powerful for what you're trying to get to is John 14:12. And that to me is the center of the New Testament. But more importantly, for those of us in the entrepreneurial profession, essentially what it says is you have the power to influence the lives of others by who you become in your walk and your journey. And that's one of the keys to success. And again, Sean, this is emphasized almost daily in your calls, but it's real easy for people to get into the mindset of making money, of ranking up, of building a team. But as you've said multiple times, it's all about creating, building, developing, enabling people to rise to the next level of their life. And that's what we do as entrepreneurs. There is one definition that I live by when it comes to being an entrepreneur, and this is applicable to the network marketing or to the Steve Jobs of the world. It is absolutely pervasive. It is universally true, and that is that an entrepreneur is somebody who identifies the needs of a person and then has the inspiration, the conviction, the resourcefulness to connect them with a means of fulfilling that need. Because ultimately, by fulfilling their need, it elevates them to the next level of life. It opens up possibilities for them that they may not have had before them because they were struggling with a need. That's your mission as an entrepreneur. Cast off ranking up, cast off making money and all that stuff, because all of that comes from building up one person, then another, and the exponential rise to changing the whole freaking world to people who truly care about other people. Something totally missing in some aspects of life today. But Sean, in respect to the fact that the call's gone on a while, I just want to share one more thing here. Two more things. First of all, leadership is oftentimes spoken in personal development calls and so forth, but you kind of hit on it today. You didn't say this, but I'll summarize it in just one sentence. Leadership is not a checklist. And I'll leave with the people out there to kind of digest that one, understand it, maybe toss it off to you for another call. And that's basically it. And then finally, the last thing I want to share is that the gifts that you were given, those gifts are for others. Give them away. And again, you said that today, and that really hit me. We're all packing around gifts, and sometimes we take them for granted. But you don't know you have a gift. You don't appreciate it until the day you give it away. Then you truly appreciate it. So I'm gonna leave you with that. That's it, Sean. Thank you, and I hope you have a great day, and hope all the misfits get out there and fit in somewhere.
Love you, brother. Yeah. Data's the guy that flies over in the B-52 and drops the bomb of awareness, and then goes, "See ya."
Thank you, Dana.
Isn't that cool, Dana? I mean, Noah. That's just.
Yeah, it is. It helped me because he's absolutely right. I can't mess up, And maybe that's why I'm over analyzing doing anything else, because I know that with, well, one, my job is program me to, it has to be perfect, it has to be right, it has to be this, it has to be that. But who said so? Well, when it comes to other aspects of life, of course, it has to be right in the airplane. I don't want anything to happen to anybody.
But that's because it could cost somebody their life. That's why.
Yes, absolutely.
So here's the thing. You ready for this?
I'm ready. Hit me with it.
The mess that is called Noah is the exacting standard of life that you're keeping from people. And because they don't get to see your mess that's called life, their life is crashing all around them. It's time for you to kill the mess.
Yes, sir. That's right.
That make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that hits at a different level. You hear his voice?
Oh, yeah. that hit different, definitely.
But this is what we get to do, folks. This is who we are together. And Noah, your questions that you're asking right now are inspiring the souls that have decided to continue to hang out here because they're searching, they're hungry. Forex and Familia on the YouTube chat said, I've been suffering for the last 2 weekends because my internet hasn't been the best to do all I have planned. But this weekend I decided to have joy in the universe works in my favor. This is what we get to do. It's time to take the brakes off, folks. Just go go have fun with this. If you go watch the first one, I'm going to have to unlist it and make it a public video. But the first ones of these videos, oh my God, you'd watch me and you'd go, that's not the same guy. I mean, he's got the same hat on, but that's not the same guy. What a knucklehead. And then some of you would go, he pretty much hasn't changed. But we need you. I need you. My son needs you. My bride needs you. Because when you put the smiles in the world, they show up for my family, and for that, I'm eternally grateful. Y'all are the best. Rhonda, I need you, Rhonda. Help me, Rhonda. Help me.
Good morning. Hang on, let me get away from the cartoon show. Uh-oh. There I am. Okay, I only took a minute. Hang on. I'm gonna move so you can listen to your program. We'll do slime in a minute. Do y'all see what's in one ear while I'm getting all this amazing nuggets in one ear? I'm getting slime videos in the other ear. Ooh. Okay. Oh, I left my notes in there. Hang on. There's so much on this.
Fanny are doing that call every Thursday, Gisela. I'm so proud of you. Congratulations. Go ahead, Rhonda.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so first of all, how do you follow Dana? My gosh, thanks for that, Sean. Appreciate you.
How do you follow then Dana? Oh my gosh.
I know. It's like bam, bam. I'm like, I've got so many love affairs on this phone. It's unreal. I've fallen in love with Ralph. I've fallen in love with Noah. Dana already knows. We've already had a long conversation. I'm like, oh my gosh, y'all. Oh, it's a good thing everybody's spaced out so far. My husband would have a hard time with me right now. I don't even know where to begin. You guys, this call was so good and I'm not going to go through the whole story, when Sean helped me, what was it? The beginning of last year or so, and you helped me identify my biggest suffering. And it was when I got over that obstacle and the suffering that these phone calls went to another level with me, because until you can get out of your own way, you can hear all this information, but you can't let go of that suffering. And when you let go of that suffering, let me tell you, you better hold on, because that whole saying, put on your big girl panties and get ready, it's a whole nother saying whenever you let go of some suffering. Because I'm sorry, I'm getting really Texas with y'all. If y'all need somebody to translate, ask Sean. When you get through some suffering and you can let some blessings flow, y'all, it's crazy. Things come to you like you'll never believe. And all those fairy tale moments that you hear everybody else have it, and I'm sorry, the head's going to move and the hands are going to fly. it will begin to happen in your life, because crazy amounts of blessings will flow to you when you're out of the way and you just show up and you love on people. I've written down so many things that have been said, and there was one thing that I wanted to ask. I wanted to ask, like Leo, he makes me think of this, and you said it, Sean. Do you make people dance with you before you ask anything of them?
That's a really great question, Rhonda. I love that question. I actually, I usually do ask people to dance with me first before we even have a conversation. Yes.
See, let me tell you, I am going to be thinking of that hot, sexy dance instructor on my morning phone calls, and I'm going to be making everybody dance with me before we talk. And let me tell you what's going to happen. Even more blessings are going to happen. And then the other thing was, do you, and this was for everybody, do you connect with people, or do you just try to find out what's wrong with that person that's communicating to you? So think about that. Do you actually connect? When someone walks up to me and maybe they're in a state of suffering, or maybe they're in a state of whatever, do I try to connect with that person before I pick apart what's wrong with them, or do I pick apart what's wrong with them before connecting with them? Because that's two total different ways of seeing the people. You see their heart and you connect with them, you will inspire them and you will encourage them, and they will fall in love with you because you recognize them and their heart and where they are. And you danced with them to their song. Maybe Leo's song is some salsa, shake that booty, get going. And maybe their song at the moment is, a sad love story. Are you coming in to dance with them in their music, in their world? Y'all, when I get to hear y'all's questions and Sean gives me a moment to be all East Texas on these phone calls and to show my heart, I connect with each one of y'all. I think I walk around and I'm totally, like, I got multiple personalities now. I got some New York, I got some Island, I got some, I don't know what running through me, because I connect with y'all and y'all give me a chance to be in your world and you give me a chance to see your heart. And I just wonder how many people are waiting to fall in love with you the way you've let me fall in love with you. And they are dying for somebody to love them, and they are dying to be loved. So I think we can add to that phrase about recognition is the same thing about love. Everybody is looking for love and waiting for somebody to love them. And how many times does it look like the 7th grade dance where all the guys are on one wall and all the girls are on one wall, and everybody has the same question? I just wish somebody would ask me to dance. That's all it is. And that's why I love this call, and that's why I love network marketing, because it gives someone like me to go redeem the gifts that God gave me of being bold and courageous and loving and heart-led, to step out and go talk to somebody and love them. And I don't care whether they join me or whether they don't. I get to use that gift, like Dana said, and go give it away. And if all else fails, I left them better than I found them. And I love that. I love it. Oh, y'all want to see somebody get fired up?
Rhonda,
I don't know what to do.
That was so powerful. That was so powerful. I needed to hear that. That was beautiful. Thank you, Rhonda.
Yeah, that's just the heart. So y'all go love somebody. And if you have to, take a little East Texas with you and just go up to anybody and everybody and just notice them, love them. So thank you, Sean. I'm so happy right now, y'all. I'm sorry I'm sounding so crazy, but I'm not sorry, because y'all need some of this too. I love y'all.
Thank you, Rhonda. Love you too.
Now, when we say success is infectious, joy is infectious, everything is infectious. You are either the cure or the cause. So everything you do infects those around you. Everything. So just take a little bit of East Texas crazy with you and just enjoy. See, here's the thing now. Here's the thing. You may not be Rhonda, but you have Rhonda's story. You may not be Dana, but you have Dana's story. You may not be Noah, but you have Noah's story. You may not be Leo, but you got Leo's story. You may not be Bree, but you got Bree's story. You may not be Gisela, but you got Gisella's story. You may not be Ralph, but you got Ralph's story. You may not be Lewis, but you got Lewis's story. Tell the story. I was on this call this morning, and this young kid, he's got the sexiest hair from Puerto Rico, and he wants to start, he's this 17, 18-year-old kid, and he's starting this entrepreneurship story. He got on our call this morning with people who are icons in the industry, and he had the courage to step up and say, I got a story I want the world to hear. We had a thermodynamic engineer who absolutely gave us a conversation of awareness and nuclear of success. Dana, and this guy, I've never heard him speak before on the call, but what he gave was, he was dropping in Leo's word, the sauce. We have this woman who has such confidence and faith and courage in herself. She shows up every morning in her pink robe with absolutely a most amazing morning hair. And today she had a smile. I don't know how she cranked it up to a level 20, but she got on the call and she was blowing out our speakers. And she's so excited. How are all of these people from around the world? We got Gisela. We had this one woman who was talking about her husband, and the husband's pain was the reason for success. This is a freaking amazing call, and I got nothing to do with it. I show up. It means nothing unless you what? Show up. You think there's going to be some people who get on this call tomorrow, the next day, who go, oh my God, what did I miss? And you get to tell them you didn't miss anything because you weren't here. Y'all deserve everything you're feeling right now, everything you're dreaming right now. This is all within you. Here's the challenge. Can you stay in this state when you get off this call? When you decide to walk out into the world, can you go, oh my gosh, life is amazing? Bree, you've got a question. Brianna.
Oh, I didn't notice you were talking to me. Hi.
Hi, good morning.
Yeah, my name is Brianna. I'm from the Virgin Islands.
Oh, which one?
I guess St. Thomas.
St. Thomas, Charlotte Amalie Bay. I used to stay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, baby. We're going Lyman. The cruise ship's still coming on Wednesday?
Yes, sir. Tuesday, Wednesday, like clockwork.
I love Charlotte Amalie Bay. I love everything about it. I used to work with WAPA, so I would help make sure and keep your water and your power on. That was one of the services I provided years ago.
Well, we still need WAPA. Sometimes they be
we still need WAPA.
My question was, I was listening to Rhonda tell her story, and like she was talking about how when you let go of suffering and blessings start to flow. So like I feel like even though we let go, sometimes we still feel like we don't deserve the blessings that are coming to us. And I just wanted to know, like, how do we get to a point where we can accept and fully enjoy the blessings that start to come our way after alleviating the suffering?
So I'll share one site and then I'll have Rhonda share, of course. So the first question I have for you is, what question did you answer to say it was okay for suffering?
What question did I answer?
Yeah, see, when you say that you're suffering, you had to answer a question. And when you were a child, when you were born, and you came out of the womb and you started to look around, at any moment from the ages of 0 months old to 8 months old, did you say, man, I got to find suffering? Suffering, succotash, I got to find me some suffering. My life ain't done until I find me some suffering. That never came across your mind, did it?
No.
And when you were 1 year old and you were playing with your food, Man, I gotta suffer. I gotta cover my face up with SpaghettiOs. I gotta suffer.
No, I've never experienced that.
So
I
at
don't
some
think.
point you had to answer the question, yeah, suffering's good. When do you think you answered that question? When do you think you decided suffering's good? And you're saying right now suffering's not good. It has to be, otherwise you decided to accept it. So now the
Probably
question
like
is
college.
what's the old story? What story goes away if Brianna all of a sudden stops suffering? Who's going to be jealous? Who's going to be mad you stop suffering?
Nobody. I don't.
And then so why don't you give up that story? Well, maybe your old story goes, yeah, but I'm in St. Thomas. I'm this beautiful black woman who's got to deal with issues, and my life was tough. You don't know the rest of my story. Suffering's part of who I am. I'll use Jim Rohn's word. Until
You make the decision not to suffer.
yeah. And if you just stop suffering, how many of your friends are going to go, what do you think? All of a sudden you've turned into this queen, you no longer suffer? What are you, nuts? We live on an island. We don't have water half the time. Our power goes out.
And people think like because you want better for yourself that you're going to be better than them, and it's like.
And you are. And you are. So what question did you answer saying it's not okay to be better?
I don't know.
Yeah. So is it okay for you to be better?
I don't feel like I'm better than people.
That's
I don't
not,
feel like I'm
you're
better
going
than
off the
them.
rails. My question, my game. Welcome to Sean's game of life. So the question is it okay if you get better?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So if you get better, would you give more to other people?
Yes.
Cool. So you getting better actually makes the world better.
Yes.
So when would you want to start doing that?
Right now.
Okay.
I want to be better every
So when
second and every day.
So when somebody goes, man, so are you from St. Thomas or are you from like Down Island, some other island?
No, I'm born and raised.
Born and raised. So, man, St. Thomas people, yeah, man, we don't do that. Nah, man, that's not what we do. You can't be thinking better. You can't be thinking big island like Puerto Rico. What?
No. Yes, I can.
I know you can. You can be thinking the world, baby. You get me some good chicken from the truck. You get me some jerk chicken. We have a party. We go have a little Lyman. We have a party. Wouldn't we have a party? You go downtown. No, that St. Croix has the top hat. I'm trying to think of the restaurant I used to eat all the time in St. Thomas. Where would we go to lunch? It'll come back to me. But my point is this: are you okay with changing the face of St. Thomas?
Yes.
And if you do that, here's the question. Is this one of the first calls you've been on with us? And if you are, blessings. Thank you. Is this one of the first calls?
No, it's not my first call, but I only started, I think in December was my first time watching one of your calls, like listening rather.
Okay, cool. So let me ask you this, Brianna. What would have to happen in your world for you to change, for you to live the life of your dreams so much that they build a statue to you? Right down there by the bay, right down there in front. There's this big statue of Brianna. What would have to happen for you that the world is so indebted to you, they want everybody to never forget your word, never forget your name? And what would be the inscription they write at the bottom of that statue? You think people would throw eggs at that statue sometimes? Probably. Would it matter to you? You think people would bring their little girls by and go, she's changed the way we do things in St. Thomas, and it's resonated around the world. You're the inspiration for children who have yet to be born. You're the inspiration for little girls right now who look up to you and say, it's because of her that my world is better. Would that be okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't know how to get there.
Okay. That's a great thing. So do you need to know how or do you need to know why?
Both.
Nope. The how says you're in charge. That's your earthly world. That's your earthly intelligence that says I need to know how. And if you don't know how could you ever do anything? How could you live today? You haven't experienced this day ever before, this moment never before, asking me a question never before. How did you get through that? You didn't. You got through it because of the why.
Okay, Sean, I got to speak to her female brain right quick.
You're stepping
Because, yeah, because you're making great sense. But for women, there's a lot of reasons where we're wired differently. And we have to know why and how. A lot of times, so let me go back to this. So coaching, when I was coaching basketball, when I coached the girls team, I needed to explain the playbook that we used, and I needed to explain what was going to happen in the playbook and why when they were sitting in a certain place that basketball play was going to work properly and why everyone needed to do what they were doing. And it worked great. And the girls did the plays that I called. I would call a play from the line and they would run it. When I coached boys basketball, all I had to do was tell them to to play. This is the play, just run it. And they were fine with that. They didn't have to know the why. All they needed to see is the outcome, which was the point scoreboard. But the girls needed to know why, because they needed to know why they had to be where they had to be. So, Bree, when you're asking how and why, I totally get you. I totally understand this. And you feel lost because you know that you're more than what you are now. And you know you have more to offer. You just don't know how to get it out.
Right.
And you're worried. Go ahead.
I was agreeing with you.
Were you going to say something? Okay.
I was just agreeing.
So you're worried. All right. You're worried about what it's going to look like when it comes out, or if it comes out, or how it's going to come out. You have all these thoughts going through your head. So this is what happened to me, because I came to Sean almost with the same thought process. But I kind of have a man's brain sometimes. So sometimes you can just holler at me and I'll just do it. And that's just weird, but that's me. But for a lot of women, we need to know, how do we get there? So one way you can get there, and this is going to be a whole nother awakening for you, is, first of all, I need you to know, from woman to woman, you are an amazing female. And you should be proud to be the woman that you are. And I acknowledge that and I see it in you. And secondly, you, my girl, need to clearly identify the source of your approval. Because as you wrestle with how people are going to look at you and think about you and talk about you, as you change into the woman that you're designed to be, you will never get to be her because you're worried about what they think her should be. You are an amazing person, knitted and made perfectly by the maker of this universe. Specially designed with that smile and those eyes and that beautiful creamy skin that I would die to have. You are you. And it is okay to be you, and it is okay to not be approved by anyone. You need no human's approval to rise up and be who you know in your heart since you were a child that you are supposed to be. And that dream that you were given so many years ago, because you can't be that old because you look so freaking young, that dream you were given is okay to dream, and it is okay to speak about, and you don't need anybody to tell you that it's okay. So you're wrestling not only with growth, but you're wrestling with, how do I get it out? Let me sum it up. It's an addiction to approval. And you're going to have to start dissecting and praying about, what is your source of approval and does it need to be redefined? And then you're going to have to define it and you're going to have to stick to it. Another way to say it is define happiness and stick to it. Doesn't matter what my definition for your happiness is, doesn't matter what Sean's definition of your happiness is, or anybody else's. You define your source of approval and your happiness, and you stick to that. And it's hard as an individual. It sometimes can be even more challenging as a woman, because we are stuck in a certain box and in a certain description. But I'm going to tell you, you describe yourself. And you need to write this down. You need to write down the true essence of Bree, and write down the definition that you're scared to write down. Don't write down the one that you think sounds right and sounds politically correct and is perfect. You write down the true essence, the true definition of Bree. And then you start praying over that and meditating over that, and see how it needs to either add more or change it up a little bit. But your addiction to approval is stumping you, and that's your outlet out of your brain and into your heart, and letting your heart speak. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I know you're emotional, and it's okay. It's okay to be emotional. Tears coming out of the body, all those emotions and, lack of better words, sicknesses coming out and leaving the body. Cry it out, girl. Let it flow. Get it out of your system, because the Bree that is, I need in my life. I need that Bree and everything she's designed to be in my life. That's why we showed up on this call right now. And I want you to tell yourself, I want you to go on a no nonsense diet. You can't say anything to yourself unless it's positive, uplifting, kind, and encouraging. And if anything else creeps in your head, you can't have anything to do with it. You are a strong, beautiful, amazing woman, and you're getting stronger and more beautiful by the minute. And your spirit is amazing. Your soul is on fire, and you're going to move forward. And those are prophetic words I'm speaking over you and into your life. And I believe them 100%. You will eventually. And you need to know, from St. Thomas to East Texas, there is some love coming your way. Girl, there is lots of love. So just get ready. And that moment when we hang up and you try to think something negative, girl, stop it. And hear East Texas go, that ain't happening today. Ain't nobody got time for that today. Bree is on fire, and we're going to encourage you. And we're going to send you lots and lots and lots and lots of love. I love you.
I love you too, Rhonda. Thank you guys so much.
So y'all send Bree some love. I know you've been doing that the whole time, but send her some more love. Let her see it. Let her just be able to read that and see those hearts coming in on the sideline. Folks, this is what the world is like. We just changed the world. Do you realize that? We just enhanced the world to have more, to be more. And it's simply by doing that. Yeah, isn't it neat to be able to have Rhonda in your side pocket and in your quiver to go, you know what? Shazam! And you just whip a little Rhonda out on them and just let them share. How's that feel, Bree? How's that sitting in your soul right now?
Feels good.
Is it okay? Let me ask you this. I'm gonna speak to your subconscious right now. Is it okay for you to have this much love pouring your way right now from people you don't know?
Yes.
Okay. So it is. Yes. How does that make you feel? A little uneasy? Yeah. So here's the thing. Is this uneasiness, maybe this uneasiness is the way for you to, you're letting off. Think this. Picture the teeter-totter. Maybe this thing, this balance you've been working on is to balance joy with misery. And maybe the uneasiness is now all of a sudden we've just helped you. We've given you permission to let some of that uneasiness go, to let some of that fear go, to let some of that doubt go. And now all of a sudden joy is winning. Joy is winning, and that's not been a part of your soul. That's not been a part of your DNA, not been a part of your makeup. Is it okay that if there's, I don't know, right now there's, how many folks there? There's 32 people on here. So 31 other people, is it okay if 31 strangers just send some love to you from East Texas and every place else, New York, and from all over? Because this is what's happening now. You are getting to be in this moment. When you asked earlier how, the easiest answer is by showing up, because today you didn't know how you were going to get love from 31 unique, amazing souls. But your request to the universe was so strong. 31 people hung out on a call with a chucklehead from Dallas, Texas, and this amazing soul from East Texas long enough to pour into you. You know how long it is to keep people on a conference call for an hour, let alone 2 hours, and 2 hours for the moment when you need it? Bree, you got some power, girl. You got some real power. And we're here for you. Life's pretty good. So there you go, folks. There's an amazing one. Almost 2.5 hour call. What would happen? What would happen if sometimes we're present with a clock and not with a heart? And I said an hour and a half ago, this call ends at, we only go an hour and that's it. What if that's what we said? What blessings would we have missed out on? What, as Ralph said, what overflowing? Our cup may not have overflowed. It may have been filled to the top. And we go, yep, an hour's it. That's all you get. That's all I got. But now we went 2.5 hours. And how many of you are feeling so much more blessed in your world because you now know Bree and St. Thomas? So did our cup overflow, or we just went and got a bigger cup? Life is amazing. There you go, folks. I'm going to let you head off to loving yourself a little bit more, being a little bit more of what you want and less of what you don't. Rhonda, thank you. Everybody, thank you. Noah and Dana and Bree and Brittany and everybody. So, Rhonda, we threw out your social media for Laura. She was asking, she said she'd probably want to have a little conversation with you. So, there you go. I love y'all. Hey, guess what? Guess what? You want to know some great news? We get to do this again tomorrow. Who knows what it'll be? So, with that being said, I appreciate y'all. I love you tons. I don't know how it's possible every day. It's like being a parent. How do you love your kid every day? I don't know, but you do. And I love you all so much every day. Thank you for pouring into me. Thank you for making my world a little bit better, a little bit brighter. And yeah, we need to do it in 3D. We're going to have a Misfit meeting here coming up before long. We'll have something here in Texas. And yeah, of course, y'all are invited. So with that being said, love you tons. I'm Sean Murphy, founder of Mental Profits, and I'll see y'all where? At the next event. Y'all send each other some love. Y'all shout out some love to each other.
Bye, y'all.
All right.
Love y'all.
Take care, y'all.
Bye, everybody. Love you.
Bye.
Love y'all.
Thank you. And keep you safe today. Make the world a better place.
Hey,
Bye,
have a good day,
y'all.
everybody.
Have a good
Love
day.
y'all. Have
Bye,
a
everybody. Have
blessed
a good
day.
day. Love you
See you
all.
all
Bye.
tomorrow.
So awesome. Bye for now.